Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and today is September the 9th. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our Hood Recovery Services. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. I'm going to do your spiritual principle a day in a meditation. So let me go ahead and get into that screen for you. Hope you're having a wonderful morning. Okay, here we go. September 9th. Humility is living in reality. Humility is most easily identified as an acceptance of who we truly are, neither worse nor better than we believed we were when we were using, just human. In a Step Working Guide, Step 1, Spiritual Principles. In early recovery, we often find ourselves going from unrealistic, grandiose self-perception to believing we are the worst person in history. It's that familiar addict pendulum swing from one extreme to the other with an optional sound effect. I'm a spiritual giant deserving of high praise. Whoosh, I'm a worthless piece of trash. I'm the hottest person here. Whoosh, I'm repulsive and don't deserve to live. I'm the only parent who knows what they're doing. Whoosh, I'm going to screw up my kid worse than my parents screwed me up. Torchbearer of overblown self-importance. Whoosh, barren self-pity farm. Hero. Whoosh, zero. Getting clean and working the 12 steps of NA can slow our addict pendulum and greatly narrow the distance of its swing. The humility that ensues from working steps will help us to find that serene, sweet spot somewhere in the middle. This place is where our true selves reside. Here lives reality. Humility is like kryptonite to our self-indulgence, jealousy, and entitlement. It allows us to accept the beautiful muddle of humanity, the truth of our perfectly imperfect selves, and our authentic place in the world. We can have reasonable expectations of ourselves and let others be who they are without our interference. We can find humor in our shortcomings and try to do better when criticized, instead of wanting to annihilate ourselves when we make a mistake. Perhaps most crucially, we don't boast about our spiritual growth, especially in comparison to other members, nor do we overindulge in denigrating, overindulge in denigrating who we used to be when we were using. We were human then, and we're human now. I will try to be mindful of where my pendulum is swinging today. Though I can accept where I am, I'll still try to move toward the center because that's what's real. How powerful. Oh my goodness. That reading, that touches me. I could just feel myself welling up with gratitude. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer, and then let's unpack this real quick, okay? Moment of silence now, please. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay. This is so funny to me. I feel like sneezing, and I just really want to get into this. Oh man, that lower destructive power is really trying to work on me this morning. But we give it no ground, no ground. Kind of like this reading, you know, how we swing the pendulum of our self-perception kind of swings from one end to the other. Like it swings to the right and it's all grandiose, huge thoughts about ourselves, a lot of pride attached to it. And then all of a sudden, shoo, it swings over to the far left. And we're repulsive, we're worthless, we'll screw up our kids' life, we're uh, don't deserve to even live and breathe air. And then all of a sudden, it swings all the way back to the other side. And man, I know I'm looking good today. Ain't nobody in here can even touch me. I am so fine. Oh my goodness. I'm the best parent in the world. I'm so intelligent. I got all these degrees and from hero to zero. I like this meditation because it makes it like the extremes that it has here of a giant deserving high praise all the way to I'm a worthless piece of trash. I don't think there's any person that could honestly say that they do not experience this pendulum. It's almost unavoidable. It's a part of our humanness. We have racing thoughts. We are continually thinking. Some of us, when the pendulum swings all the way towards the negative side, we have a tendency to stay there. We just kind of waddle in self-pity and self-loathing and hatred. And we stay there. And sometimes it doesn't swing back to the more positive side for days, maybe even months. If that's you, there's this middle ground, this sweet spot of serenity, and it's reality. It's in the middle. And I want for you today to give yourself permission to find your way back to the middle. You know, in the Just for Today in a meditation, we were talking about unrealistic expectations, one of the largest stumbling blocks, right? Is placing these unrealistic expectations on ourselves and others. It was mostly talking about others, but right now we're kind of talking about on ourselves. It is not realistic to think that every day is going to be a perfect day. It's not realistic to think every encounter we have with someone is going to be a positive encounter. I had a real negative encounter with someone that I really love a lot yesterday. And they were basically making a crack, right? They were making a crack on me, and I had a quick witty comeback. And I didn't even think that particular witty comeback, even though it's like a it's like a it's like a cliche that has a very old researchable. It actually goes back to President Abe Lincoln, something he said, right? But because it was just such an old cliche, my mind, and it was quick because they were coming for me, right? You know how we say, don't come for me unless I send for you. And so I came back with this quick, witty response. And immediately I saw the harm that I had caused. And there was no way to, once the words had flown out, because for them, the comment I made was their reality. It wasn't just a cliche, it was their real everyday life. And I couldn't draw it back. And I got in my vehicle and I tried to smooth over a little bit, but I could see there was a lot of resistance. And because there were other people around, I think that I was somehow embarrassed when they were trying to crack on me. And I felt like your turn deserves, one turn deserves the other. But it was not okay. Either way, two wrongs don't make a right. And I got in my vehicle and I was coming home and I had pulled over to text them and apologize. And they still have not responded. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I need to go find them, sit them down and explain. But in reality, isn't every relationship a two-way street? What makes me more sensitive, see, because I'm pretty sure they don't think they owe me an apology at all, even though they were trying to embarrass me in front of other people, right? I'm pretty sure they don't think they owe me an apology. But that's not my concern, what they think they owe me. I know that I owe an apology and I extended it. What I'm not going to do is be a doormat, right? I am not going to chase after an individual trying to help them to understand just how regretful I am. I did what I needed to do and I did it immediately, right? So now my place with this is just to pray that they come around. And if they don't, then I pray for me to have the strength spiritually to accept the things that I cannot change. Do you see that? So the point that I'm making is that every day that we live, we're either far right, far left. I'm not talking politics. I'm just talking about with our thoughts about ourselves, or we're somewhere in between. And everyone is going through that. The problem is when we're engaging one another, I might be further to the right, feeling great and positive and healthy, but I'm interacting with someone that is mid-swing, headed far left into the negative. And then the words that I say impact them based on where they're at spiritually at that moment. That's why we need to be careful about everything that we say. We need to be careful about the motive or where we're coming from ourselves. Are we somewhere balanced in the middle on reality, or are we a little bit further towards the grandiose side on the right, or are we more depressed and negative and pessimistic right now? It causes us to think and say things differently. We really do need to pay attention to this. But you need to pay attention to you, and I pay attention to myself. And you work on you, and I work on myself. And that example that I gave you, I probably will not encounter this person for, I don't know. I mean, our paths don't cross every day, right? So I may not encounter this person for a week or two, and maybe it will have settled down. I'll be cordial the next time that I see them, but I will be mindful that they haven't responded, right? A lot of people don't have a program. They don't have what we have access to, right? And so if we're setting an expectation on them to respond a certain way based on where we're at in our application of spiritual principles, that is an unrealistic expectation, and it will land you in the valley of being hurt. what we want to do, this spiritual principle of humility, is we want to acknowledge that we are human and that we need to be in the middle. We want to bring our emotions and our thinking and our energy towards the middle. We want to make sure that we develop humility so that it can be like kryptonite to our self-indulgence, our jealousy, and our sense of entitlement. A lot of people throw this term entitlement around, and they really don't understand that while they're even using it, they're acting entitled. The opposite of entitlement is that no one owes you anything but to love you. And maybe not even that, depending on who they are, right? They may not be capable of truly loving other people. So this idea that someone owes you something is an illusion. No one owes you anything. You have 2 feet, 2 hands. You're standing on the fact that you are a human in this world, and you are an adult. And if there's things that you need to get out there and get them, just like anyone else, right? And so when we're humble, it's like kryptonite to Superman. When we're humble, it puts everything into proper balance. It checks our superhuman, powerful, grandiose selves. It puts it all into check, and it brings us down to reality, or I wouldn't even say down into reality. It brings us over into reality. It adjusts the way that we see ourselves and others. Humility is your friend. Humility is your friend. And I would say this is a spiritual principle worth asking your higher power to help you develop. Because as you develop, you become more graceful in your relationships with others, and people become more graceful with you. It really is a powerful spiritual tool that we want to develop. Today, I want you to go back to that just for today in a meditation. But this time where they put ... and excluded unrealistic expectations on ourselves, they took that out. I want you to put that in when you consider this meditation, right? I want you to think about the unrealistic expectations that you're putting on yourself. And if you say, all my expectations are well thought out and I need to get some things done, okay, ask someone else that you trust. Is this realistic, or am I being grandiose? I triple dog dare you to invite another human being into your thought process about what you're expecting of yourself. And if they agree, yeah, I think that you can do that, then walk it out. But if they tell you, I don't know how you're going to do that. You can't even save $2. How are you going to buy a car and add like a $500 note plus insurance, another $200, and you can't pay rent? You going to live in your car? Oh, okay. So paying rent or paying your mortgage is less important. Having a place to go to bed at night is less important. You could just sleep in your car if you have to, right? Okay, that's just a small example, right? But get to the point where you start trying to find that middle ground, that reality in humility, right? I'm not saying to play yourself small, right? Because I can't remember who said that, but being small serves the world no purpose, right? It I'm not talking about being falsely humble. I'm talking about being realistically humble, authentically humble, and really truly taking into consideration where you need to pull yourself in on that pendulum from the left or the right, and find that middle ground and walk in humility, because in the humility is your reality. And then you find that humility will give you room. Like I said, it's like a door to grace. When a person is humble, it gives others room to extend grace to them, but it also gives you room to extend grace. And grace is mostly needed when we're wrong or we're making errors, right? It's like that cake pan that has a dent in it, but you keep trying to make a cake in it, and you're wondering, like, oh my goodness, this cake always has a dent in it. It always has a lopside. It's because what you're using to form it is defective. So if you have these grandiose thoughts about yourself, and you pour your life energy into that, the mold that you're using is not reality. And you're going to find your goals, your dreams, your visions are higher than you can realistically attain in the time frame that you want to attain them, because what you're pouring yourself into has this grandiose defect. But if it's self-negativity, self-loathing, low self-esteem, if any esteem, and you're pouring your life into that is the mold, you won't be achieving very much, because the mold is defective, right? It's defective. So you have to find that middle ground, which is to go search out a mold or a cake pan, right? I hate to just use a cake pan, but to make it make sense, you have to go find something that is reasonably priced and has a perfect shape to it. It's realistically shaped the way that a cake pan should be, which is your life. You should be relatively successful. You should have room for error. You should be in a mode of humility and still learning. Life is a journey, not a destination. All these things we've been talking about makes that perfect cake pan, so that when you pour yourself into it, what comes out of it is reasonable and beautiful. It's something that you can use, right? I have a picture of a wedding cake this lady made me. Oh man, I was showing my husband this picture. This, and I keep it because I want to remember that even when I hired the lady to make the cake, but she let her granddaughter who wanted to help make it. And I'm talking about one of the most lopsided, ridiculous wedding cakes that you can possibly ever imagine. Today, her granddaughter is a wedding cake maker. She has her own bakery. She does very well. The lady has since passed. However, the point that I'm making is that you want something that will last you. You want something that will give you memories of a lifetime, a positive, beautiful memories, even within those memories where maybe you fell, but you got back up and you kept trying, and then you were successful at doing what you set your mind to. I'm talking figuratively about this cake pan, because that's the middle ground you want to attain. But it's going to take you searching for it. You can go to Bed Bath Beyond, you could go to Walmart, you could go to JCPenney's, you could go to Macy's, you could go probably even to the Dollar Tree or Family Dollar. You can go find, right? You can go find the perfect cake pan for you, but it comes with you doing step work in writing. It comes with you having self-discovery. And when you get it, you won't loan that out. All the effort that it took for you to find yourself, your true self, your authentic self, that perfect cake pan, right? The one that fits you, you won't be so quick to dole it out to just any passerby or to some unworthy individual that thinks that you look like a Barbie down their arm and they want you because they want you. No, 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 no. You're going to be very careful. This person that practices spiritual principles that you become, right? You'll be very considerate as to who you allow to partake of the beauty that you are. And that's what I want for you. I want you to live in reality. I want you to find that person, that beautiful you that you were intended to be. But it's going to take work. And when you get there, let's not be too quick to just loan ourselves out to people that have absolutely no idea the level of work it took for you to become the beautiful human being that you are. My name is MightyStream, and I have truly enjoyed our meditation for today. I hope that you have, and I will be talking to you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day on purpose.